Nation against nation, brother against brother.
Good evening and welcome to Deliverance Church Langata. This is the Biblical Perspective Program. With me to discuss this matter is a gentleman who is part of the Christian Professionals Forum, Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, and also involved with matters concerning the welfare of the family, the social, or rather mobilizing the public in war against abortion and things of that nature, and same-sex marriages. Yes. Karibu, Gerard.
Thank you, Daktari. Asante.
Good to see you.
Always a joy to be with you and to join you.
Yes. Today, I want us to begin by addressing the issue that has been a big outcry about taxes. The fact that taxes are being increased. Yeah. Also, we'll touch a little bit about this issue about the 3% levy that is desired to help people own houses.
Indeed.
And there's a lot of things that are going on within the media. Yeah. In today's paper, it's talking about hidden tax paying in Ruto's budget, and then of course they have covered the issue of Riders Movement of Truth. Yeah. Opposition chief is in a crossroad. He must, alongside his Azimio Umoja colleagues, decide the fate of the bipartisan talks with President William Ruto, Kenya Kwanza. So, and I came with another paper which is a bit odd, which is addressing Ruto housing plan, good, bad, and ugly. Those are the things I want us to unpack.
Very good.
Because I have asked myself, and of course, I sometimes like thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
Could it have been possible for the president to contemplate to give freedom for people who don't care having houses, and those who desire to have houses to be the ones that are going to pay this? Because the kind of noise I've heard, any person unpacking this, some of them feel like this is a very brilliant idea. Yeah. And had this been happening today, a lot of people would be owning houses. Yeah. But at the same time, there are people who are so desperate, and according to the kind of salaries they receive, they think they cannot afford to part with 3% at all, even if it is a saving, because, you know, they say that after 7 years, you can get all your money back.
All your money.
The only money, again, you won't get is the money that your employee would have been contributing. You see, if my staff, you know, are willing to part with 3%, me as an employer will have to part with the 3% also.
Also, yes.
So that 6% is the one that is going. And now the ones that have paid is to the advantage of the employee. So I don't know, how have you conceptualized this?
Thank you, Daktari. What we have to recognize is where we are. Number one, these good ideas, and I call them good ideas, are misplaced.
They are misplaced.
You can have a good idea, but it is misplaced.
Yes.
The 3% for the housing is as a result of the cash liquidity that Kenya does not have. So they must raise funds. That's number one. Number two, the system works. It's been seen to work before, and we know the president visited Singapore just the other day, or rather, he visited, and also the Singaporean prime minister came. And it's been noted to work. So it's been tested. But now what we must understand that it's been tested in a system that works. Singapore did not just wake up one day and say we are going to raise taxes 3% for housing. And I want to pick a very simple video that has been going around of an old guy expressing himself in the most authentic way. He said, manyumba tuko nazo. We come from homes. So we must live somewhere. That's not the priority.
Yeah.
The priority right now is that when you walk out there, everyone is looking at the cost of living, at the basic. So even beginning to talk of houses, people cannot comprehend. They're trying to comprehend, do we have unga? I can tell you personally, Daktari, and I will tell you this very, very authentically. I walk into a supermarket, I'm having to go with a list. I'm having to choose what needs to be left. Right now, I'm even telling people sugar might not be a priority. After all, it is a luxury. So learn to the taste bud will pick that you can take tea without sugar. All right? And this is a very practical example.
You're right.
So then again, you look at where we are. What we are doing at this point is also at a point where we are being asked, is that the priority? Your colleague, and we're very glad that he has come out strongly, Olisapit, the bishop, has said, let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Where we are is not in a good place. And it means that we must come together, just like the US did during the financial banking crisis. You saw Obama and the late McCain come together. They were not agreeing on principle. But on this issue, they said our country cannot sink when we are both here trying to fight for a seat, and yet the people are suffering. So the priorities that are coming out is that Kenya is in debt. China is recalling its debt. We have gone to the IMF and looked for more money. IMF will give us austerity measures that do not help the country because austerity measures means increasing the debt and the interest rate. The interest rate has gone way higher than anyone can afford, including young people who want to do businesses. They can no longer afford to borrow. So those methodologies, which you remember, the structural adjustment program, when Moi was there, and when he told the IMF, you either give me good rates or go out through the door, and he had to go through that because he realized it will hurt the Mwananchi. So where we are right now for the president is to sit down and say, at this point, I think I need to invite people on the table. Let's sit on the table. Let's focus first on the priority of bringing Kenya to speed in terms of recovery. We are entering a recession. The biggest fear we have is we will enter into a depression like Greece. If we are there, we cannot control the reaction of the Mwananchi out there who has slept a whole week without eating. We cannot control what the middle class is thinking, who suddenly now they begin to see the reality of when they were being told, you need to have a sit down, and things now have reached where they are. I can tell you, if you speak honestly, speak to principals in schools, people are not paying school fees in full. They can't afford it. And even the principals know that they can't push for that agenda that you pay everything because you'll choose to move your kids from those schools. Now, if you start doing that, what happens, you'll be having empty seats, empty desks, and suddenly you'll start having people saying, let them stay home till we can afford to be able to pay. So that's the danger that we are facing. Is there hope? There's always hope, Dr.
There's always hope.
Kenya has been in this quagmire from the time before independence. They got into this same scenario. They had to sit down and discuss how do we get out of this. After independence, you remember, there was also a period when we went through this. During the 90s, we went through this. But it is how we handle it. The difference between all those years is now you have a more informed citizen, extremely informed, and now also a very well-educated youth. We must listen. We must listen, and then we must help to reason together. That is the biggest message. We must be able to reason together.
Well, let me ask you this. When we think about the situations that are happening within the country, is it not, are we not suffering the consequences of things that the sitting president did not necessarily sanction? That's one. Is it not true that you are talking about a season of the last, like, say, since 2019, the break, when COVID hit, and the economic activities were almost brought to very low, including grounding our air travel. Then going through a very serious drought season. And then we have had, a negative effect of the Russia Ukraine invasion,
Yeah.
because of certain things that we used to import.
Yeah.
Now, with all those things happening, and then, worst of it, to me, what is most terrible, and maybe it's not even unforgivable in terms of what the Kenyans feel, is those who rooted the national coffers within the transition time. This is not the first time, and I'm not sure whether this was the worst case scenario, because there's a figure that was mentioned by one of the members of parliament who belongs to the Public Account Committee. That was staggering. You see that just a few days before elections, the Jubilee administration requisitioned over 300 billion from the Treasury. I think it was 335, if I'm not wrong. And the question is, can they account for that money? And of course, there was also this issue about telecoms, where some other money changed hands just within the general transition period. So now, then when you look at what now happens to those people who are demanding that the price of unga has to be brought down, I mean, is this sincere? Are they honest that, you know, that's a question.
Let me start with the last one. Because it's the most recent in my mind. Let's talk to the alleged theft and emptying of the coffers. My response would be this. If I compete with you for a position, and I want to take your position, when I'm doing that, I must be prepared to know that when I take your position, I'm also inheriting liabilities and assets. That's number one. If I have accepted that that's what I'll be doing, then I must have a management program or plan of how to handle the liabilities. And the assets, I would imagine that I'm coming to increase them into productivity. So in terms of that particular argument, and I've listened to it quite a while, and now I've come to a place where I've made the determination, is that I have the instruments to pursue you through the legal process, that every coin that has been taken should be returned through my own Kenyan legal process, jurisprudence also international. So that's number one. So I cannot keep telling people that, you know, Dr. Njuguna took my laptop, for example. And he has my laptop, and I can't do anything without it.
No, you can't.
And yet, right next to me is a police station. And I even know the OCPD. But I don't even need to follow the OCPD. All I need to go is find the police officer and make a report. And make an impression such that I have evidence that this has been stolen. Then tell them, all I want is my laptop back.
Okay.
So that's number one.
That's number one.
That's number one. Then, in terms, I've forgotten the first question you asked.
The first question I was asking. We have gone through what can be considered to be calamity. From COVID-19 to the drought situation. Then we have spoken about the effect of the Russia, Ukraine, which seems to have affected not only Kenya but many places. Now, the reason I'm asking this question, why would it be surprising to any Kenyan or to any politician for that matter that we are going through some very, very
difficult
times, and we cannot blame the difficult times on the president who has not even ruled. I don't know how many months it is since. I think this is the eighth month.
8 months going to the ninth.
Going to the ninth month. So why would you see politicians reprimanding the current executive that they are not? There's something they could do to change the narrative. I mean, to change the situation.
This one I'll give you.
Or is it just political? Because you see, one of the things that is very unfortunate in this country is that everything is politicized.
Now, and there is nothing wrong, Dr.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Now I've moved away. You know.
You're right.
I've come here repentful and with more discernment and because I've really sat down and thought about
process things.
In that respect, I'll tell you two things. When people compete for politics, it is about winning, and it is about assuming power over resources and allocation of resources. Now, what happens is we program our citizens to think one way. And this is where civic education is very important. So that you can see through a politician when they are giving you information and promises. To know whether this is real or this one
this is just a political
Yes. So what
promise.
we have developed is we have developed in this country a culture of whether you are right or wrong, whether you did well or did bad, I will blame you so that I can have a following. That's one. That's a culture. And they are both to blame both sides.
Yes.
They have played from both sides. And they have been even in the same teams. So then there is something that people forget. In this country also we have politics and politricks.
Okay.
And a lot of us have spent energy and years in being taught, programmed politricks. Politricks is where I tell you, Daktari, help me get into office. The moment I get there, you'll be my chief prime minister. Then I tell you, Daktari, when you get to the ground, kule kwa mwananchi, waambie watu wako hawataumia. Mimi nitawasaidia na kila kitu. So it cascades. And the truth of the matter is worldwide, politics is competition. And you must have a way of leveraging yourself to win over your colleagues. Now, what has happened is we have for a long time in this country never distinguished when the politics must end. So even now, if you look at our reactions, the president, it's true, in any format, should be given time also to extend. Personally, I've given him up to September. I have been commenting, I've seen mistakes he has made, I've seen some things, but I'm thinking he may pull it, he may pull it out, he may make it.
September will be a year.
That will be a year.
A year.
So I have restrained myself from saying very hard things. But come September, even he should expect that at this time, because the 100 days are over, for me, September is year to year.
Year to year.
For the others, he promised within 100 days, this will happen. Now, President Ruto happens also to be in a very difficult place. It is not a place I would want to be. You are right, COVID came. It messed up. So Uhuru was the one who had to handle that burden for a while. Then Ruto is campaigning and wants to enter into the office. And I can be very honest, if you sit with him, and I hope you do sometimes, if you whisper to him, he will tell you, this seat is too hot. Because the number of things that you expect, it was bring us out of COVID recession. Yes, it is bring us out of the differences that have come because of our tribal politics. Yes, bring us into an economy that is competitive. Then, of course, when you campaign, you have promised people seats and positions. And I have no problem with that. That's political. That's why I keep telling people, you have to distinguish between politics and then running of the government and state. Now, the political part you can't run away. Now it's his own people who are holding him ransom. And that is why he has to go ahead and create the CASs. Now, if you and I, Daktari, be honest, CASs are costing us.
No, by the way, see the court, they are not. See the court suspended their occupation of office. So far, that status remains.
But they are still, you know.
No, even if they are around. But the key thing is this: when the court rules that listen, you can't occupy office, you can't receive a pay,
and you can't receive the pay.
See, to me, what I've been thinking, even if they are appointed, I would be surprised to know they have occupied office, because why would you occupy office until another person goes to court to challenge that ruling, and they hire, and maybe the court of appeal overturns it.
Now, that's a good argument, and I love it. Even if it is upheld. Do you know what it does now for President Ruto? He will be accused of telling us, ulitupea kitu ulijua koti itakuja kusimamisha. Ulituahidi. So these things, and this is where I also tell citizens, sometimes we also put our leaders into a very difficult place, because we'll demand of them that which they promised. And you yourself knew the country, by the time we are coming from COVID, cannot manage to handle such things. And the country came in now with also a deficit, I mean with a debt that needs to be paid. Now, the Chinese at the global level and the Americans are busy also fighting each other, just like we are having Azimio and UDA. The Americans and the Chinese, I don't know which side, whichever
Yeah.
the side the citizen or the public
I
want
hear,
to
I
take.
hear what people say that,
Yes.
that even like the fights that we have in Sudan,
Yes.
they are...
It's
they are-
proxy wars.
It's proxy wars.
It's proxy wars. And now, the
Yeah.
Chinese are not happy. You have kicked them out and hit them below the belt after they have given you money to develop your expressways. So now you want to exchange them with the Europeans and the Americans.
Yeah.
They are not happy. So what do? You remember during Moi's time, if you made him upset, he asks who is in charge of KCB.
Yeah.
Can you call Mr. Njuguna's own to be... so they are pulling the plug for us, yes? So we are not in a very nice place because we owe them. It's not that they have given us the money for free. So at this point, we have also been told that our debt needs to be paid. And our debt must be paid.
Yeah.
So we are looking at a point where we are asking ourselves, is our country going bankrupt?
Yeah.
And if it does, what is the remedy of this country to come out of that?
To come out of that.
There are studies that have shown Ghana is going through the same
Is
thing.
that right?
Yes.
Is that right now?
Yes, Ghana is going through the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah, terribly painful process. Greece told us how they went through it. Yeah, it is a very painful process because you are trying to give IMF what they are asking for because they gave you loans to act as gap measures.
Yeah.
But they are asking you to increase your interest rate so that their money can come back.
So they put like a demand.
Of course, and people get angry with IMF. IMF has not told you that we are putting a gun to your head. IMF says we have something that can help your pain.
But this is
So these are the conditions.
Conditions.
So you sit and you say, yes, let me sign with those conditions. Yeah. So that is what we are going through. And,
Okay.
and the country where it is, I say is a storm before the, you know, a row before the storm.
Yeah.
So it is something that if sincerely, both Azimio and UDA and all political figures in that august house care about this country, they will lock themselves inside and say, forget about our differences. This country will sink if we don't sit down and address these measures.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to look at how new taxes will hit fuel and M-Pesa charges and salaries. And they say that for mobile money, they have increased 12 to 15. Now, excise on mobile money transfers.
Yes.
Then for the payee, actually, the only people who have been affected are those earning like 600,000 above.
Yes.
At least half a million and above. And that is very clear. Not many people in that bracket.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is, this can be managed.
The danger with that area, Daktari, there are not many who can earn that. And the fewer that fall within the areas of earnings, businesses are beginning to say they will relocate. Businesses are saying they will relocate. The cost of production in Kenya is too high for them to sustain.
And that's why I'm saying there's every wisdom for anyone who would be the advisory team, because I know the president has an advisory team, to ensure that if some of these things can be kept on hold for a while, to allow for some bit of improvement in terms of the stability of the economy in the country. But I was saying that maybe what should be encouraged, though, because it's possible that people have some money somewhere they can put into that venture. But if you don't have money, it means you can, in the future, be able to contribute to make it, you know, to make it to the category in which you're going to be able to open an account that you can be putting little by little. I think it was very, very important that that's something that can be done. In this article by Kefa Muiruri, addressed in the Business Daily, it's talking about the economy. And of course, the Treasury is targeting top earners. M-Pesa transactions and fuel to raise an additional of 364 billion. That's a lot of
That's
money.
a lot of money.
Wow.
And you see, I like what your colleague said. Archbishop Olesepit.
Yeah.
If we keep focusing on raising taxes
Yes.
to cover the debt burden,
Yeah.
then we forget about the mwananchi who is struggling,
Yes.
then you would have done great disservice. You have to find a balance.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Jimmy Wanjigi the other day, and he brought some nostalgia in somebody called President Reagan.
Yeah.
Number one, I get happy with people when they mention President Reagan, because he was an ordinary fellow who found himself into acting cowboy movies, and then he was a Christian, and a very strong Christian.
Yeah.
And one of the people who would not be ashamed talking about Christianity in authority.
Yeah.
He did something called Reaganomics. Now, Reaganomics is like Kibakinomics.
Yeah.
When you say Kibakinomics, people say, yeah, Kibaki tunaelewa. Hata tunaelewa uchumi wa Kibaki. Now, Reagan had a very big position in the world because what he decided is saying, Americans are suffering. Americans are complaining, and Americans are entering a recession. What do? I will stop the social spending. I will reduce that. But I will cut taxes.
Yeah.
I'll cut taxes for everyone, and especially the businesses. Why? The businesses, once you have cut taxes, will stimulate the growth of economy.
Yes.
They will go into production.
They have a way of doing
and
that.
And they'll have a way of now generating what you call businesses within America. Very good idea.
Wow, that's
great. Then for them, because they are also a military power, he increased military spending. But you see, people get angry saying we don't want military spending because it is a semi-balance of not having peace. But he was very smart. It is business spending of production of business of weaponry that is not being bought by the Americans but exported outside.
Wow.
So what he has done is brought in money into the country. And so the people begin to be prosper. They are happy.
Yes.
Now the only mistake they did is after such a good foundation, they started investing outside into the Chinese market. So they stopped their own production.
Wow. It was a very, very unfortunate decision.
So they took it to China, and China said, hallelujah. You used to say that we are backwards, we will help you to progress. Then what they forgot is the Chinese were also studying and became better and better. Now, if you ask me for 60 years of Kenya, a blueprint from Singapore, Singaporeans have told us themselves and given us evidence. They took the Nairobi City Municipal Council program, blueprint. That's what is Singapore today.
But I want to say, we need to understand, and I've said this before, and then we'll just close this session. The only money government spends that has no negative consequences is money collected on taxes. We have already learned that on the GDP ratio, we are only raising 14% of our GDP on taxes, which is very low.
It's peanut.
So I think we encourage Kenyans. It is a patriotic thing to be able to pay tax. And if you can afford to pay tax and you're evading it, then you are robbing the country. And you're not patriotic at all. You should be ashamed of yourself and ask, how come I don't want to build my nation by faithfully paying taxes so that the government can have revenue that does not have a negative effect. Anyway, you can pray to close this first program.
Thank you, Dr. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you.
Amen.